Today on the Weekend Aquarist podcast, I'm thrilled to welcome someone who's not just reshaped how hobbies think about planted tanks, but is also actively shaping the aquascaping world itself. Dennis Wong is the co-founder of the 2-Hour Aquarist, a brand famous for its science-driven, elegantly minimal planted tank methods. And he's highly regarded for cultivating rare and difficult aquatic plants. A common friend who introduced me to Dennis Wong has saved his number as the planted tank god. and
I'm happy to be here.
yeah,
Thank you.
and Dennis has served as a judge at leading international aquascaping competitions like AGA 2018, Aquajaya 2018, ITAC, AIAC 2023, and more. Beyond judging, Dennis also sponsors Aquascapers, helping talented creators like IAPLC 2022 winner Matthew Mains and 2023 standout Ryan Noel bring their visions to life. Through his work, Dennis bridges the gap in terms of education, innovation, and craft, and has earned his place as both a mentor and a leader in the planted aquarium community. Dennis, it's an honor to have you on the show. Welcome to the Weekend Aquarist.
Very good to meet you too. Yes.
Dennis, not many people know. Everybody's been following you. They've been following the 2-Hour Aquarist. You've got so many followers on YouTube and all. How did it all start for you? If you could just take a few moments. I know there have been interviews in the past, but I just want to kind of dwell and let
Okay.
the viewers hear it from you.
I think it first started when I started out as a hobbyist that was quite skilled at growing some difficult plants. So from then, people encouraged me to share my findings online. So it first started from this information website. At that point of time, we didn't sell any commercial products.
Right.
It was just an information website with some of my blog posts on how to cultivate
Yes.
certain difficult species.
Yes.
But after a while, people locally started to ask, what are you using in your tanks? Can we have some of it as well? So my first step was to sell just all-in-one to one local shop, just because some hobbyists wanted a way to get it, and I didn't want them to keep like visiting my home to be able to purchase it. So I had a deal
They
with a local
started doing
shop
that,
there.
is it? Okay.
Uh, or rather, people wanted it,
Huh.
but I wanted to make it available on a like just slightly wider scale. So I started providing products to one shop, and at the time, I think the bottles were barely marked, right? So unless you know, you wouldn't know what that mystery bottle in the shop
Right.
was. Then interest picked up. So the group of people that wanted it became larger and larger. So my first step was to supply the local shops in Singapore that wanted it, and very quickly it spread from one region to the next. So within a very short period, we basically expanded it to become a full-size commercial company, with proper bottling, proper labeling and stuff. And I think within a couple of years, we expanded from like one country at first, which is
Mm,
just Singapore.
mm,
Then quickly we expanded to sell to the big blocks like US and Europe.
mm, mm.
In Asia, our expansion was slower actually because the laws of shipping between the Asian countries was a bit more troublesome. So, for example,
Yeah.
India was very troublesome
Yeah.
to
Tell
ship
me
to.
about it.
Yes. So the red tape to ship to India was is a difficult
Yeah.
barrier, and a lot of the smaller countries in Southeast Asia, we found it more troublesome to get the paperwork done. And at least for the US and EU, their list of requirements is long, but there's a
Yes.
step-by-step process that you can get through to get the goods delivered.
Yeah. And the demand
Mm.
is much higher in Europe and US as well as a market.
I would say that our three biggest blocks are the US, Europe as a whole, and Japan actually.
Hmm.
With the rest of the Asian countries, it's a bit more dispersed. It's not
Yeah.
as concentrated. And that is because for the big blocks, one of the the biggest platforms that our product is sold in is Amazon and through our online site directly.
Right.
And the US and Europe, they have very good systems to for us to sell directly to the end user.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Whereas for a lot of the Asian side countries, the logistic route may be a bit more complicated. So we work through the distributors and stuff.
You started off in 2015, or was it prior to that itself?
I think it was we started selling locally. I think 2016 or 17.
Okay.
Um,
And when did the brand actually take place? The 2 hour Aquarist. When did that
so if you look at our bottles, the name on it is called APT, right?
right,
So what does APT stand for?
right.
At that time, the website was called Advanced Planted Tank.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so the word to Aquarist and came a bit later. So that was when we expanded the brand and we wanted a name that was more unique because the Advanced Planted Tank is such a generic name. We wanted a name that okay that has more meaning. Then we have colors that they mirror a bit of the Singapore flag colors as well. So we have red, we have white. So the branding came a bit later, but our very first products came as early as 2016 or 17.
Right.
Yeah.
In just a short span, I mean, it's just about 9 years now. I think the brand has done very well, and I think that's testimony to the product itself, because a brand by itself is one thing. Okay, nice logo, nice this thing, but if the product itself is not delivering what it is promising, okay, the brand will not grow as a true brand,
Mm.
right? And I think the 2 hour Aquarist has achieved that. So where does that 2 hour come from? Is it more like a philosophical name, or is it something that you came up?
So the name came from actually this business like guru called Tim Ferriss. I think he has this book called The 4 Hour Work Week.
Yes.
Yeah. So it is this idea that you want to get things done quickly, like maximum effectiveness in a short period of time.
Right.
And I think that 2 hours per week on a tank of the average hobbyist tank is enough for you to have a huge impact on the outcome of the tank.
you
So
know
for folks that say that they don't have time, then my question will be, do you have 2 hours a week? Because if you have the correct approach and you
that's
tune
enough.
your
Yeah,
system well, 2 hours a week can produce great results in
absolutely
the tank. Yeah.
amazing. And I'm kind of thrilled with that story, because my name is the Weekend Aquarist. Okay,
Mm,
and
yeah.
most of us, okay, get time, we on our weekends itself, to spend on the hobby, on our tanks, and we look forward to that, right?
Yes.
And that's how the name Weekend Aquarist. And
Yes.
amazing. So the 2 hour
Yes.
Aquarist, yeah. So there's a connection over there also. So great.
Yes.
Um, you have been participating, you've been winning in aquascaping contests and all. Tell us a little bit about that journey also. And when did you start then, mentoring and teaching others?
I think that for aquascaping, I have much less been a participant.
Hmm,
So I'm in a weird position where because of my fame in working with plants,
hmm.
I've been invited as a
Judge,
judge
yeah.
from quite earlier on, from like even 10 years back. So I've judged and seen a lot more competitions than I've actually participated in. But to judge competitions in the different countries like Indonesia is great because it allows you to go down there and look at the techniques that they use.
Right,
So I'll say that a lot of the techniques I know come from learning from the competitions that I go and observe. And I also talk to the other judges and ask them what do they look out for and such when I was new as a judge.
right, right.
So I think that a lot of my experience in aquascaping come from being put in this circle of experts. And I'm more of someone that aggregates knowledge from this circle. So I've met the top aquascapers from each of the different continents.
Yes,
Then I see what techniques they use. I got some tanks where I demonstrate such techniques. Then I write about it so that people can learn from it.
yes.
And I see that as my main role. Like I see myself more as a communicator. Whereas I think that there are other aquascapers like Josh Sim or Fukada, then they are the ones that are at the forefront that every year they want to engineer some new technique
Right, right,
to push the boundaries of
right,
aquascaping. So I don't do that at all, I think. But what I do is that I observe the new trends and I can comment on, oh, I know how this guy does this technique. I can show you how to do it in your tank. So I'm like a communicator or as a teacher because the brand is so heavily focused on plants
right,
and like the difficult and colorful species.
right.
So a lot of the tanks that I do for display have the plant focus rather than the hardscape
Right,
focus.
right. No, I
Yeah.
see that, and and then that brings us to what the viewers would want to know more about.
Yes.
Planted tanks. One of
Yeah.
the philosophies that you've always spoken about and demonstrate is the minimalistic approach or simplistic approach, and understanding the science behind it,
Mm.
because in nature water is flowing. Over here
Mm.
you've got a very tiny
Yeah.
glass
Yes.
box, and you
Yes.
have to replicate all
Yes.
the conditions over there, and that is where the
Yes.
challenge is.
Yes.
And so tell us a little bit on that philosophy also. And you know a lot of planted aquarium enthusiasts look at various sources. They look at
Mm.
YouTube videos, they look at
Mm.
Instagram, they read about it somewhere,
Mm.
and almost everybody goes through a struggle. And I
Yes.
think
Yes.
that struggle is part of the journey. You
Yeah.
have to go through that struggle, otherwise you will
Yes.
not learn. But tell us a little bit about your philosophy and your approach to the whole thing.
I think that the for us the hobby has existed for quite a long time. But if you look at the how far back before, I remember like in the earlier part of my life, and I'm not so young, but neither am I that old. But if you look at the early 2000s, I remember that CO2 equipment was very costly in Asia.
Mm,
It was only after China manufacturing came aboard
yeah.
that the price of CO2 systems came down enough that the hobby could be spread to a wider range of countries.
Mm,
I think before the year 2005 or so, before that, if you wanted to buy a CO2 regulator, you had to have a Western brand, and
mm,
the price was very high.
mm.
So I think that before the year 2000, the price of entry for of this hobby was too high
Very
for it to
fine.
be
Yeah,
widespread in
yeah,
Asia.
yeah.
So if you ask me, when did this whole aquascape planted aquarium thing really took off, I would say that it's about past about 2005.
Hmm.
And at that time, LED light was still not a thing yet,
Yes.
right? So people were fiddling with the fluorescent tubes, and these were hanging precariously
Metal
over the
halides.
tank.
Metal halides.
Yes, metal halides. And for because the hobby is so young, a lot of equipment is unoptimized even till today. So, for example, CO2 has a huge impact, but we still don't have great ways for the average hobbyist to measure it accurately.
Mm.
Like I have a $3,000 machine, US 3,000 US dollars, for me to measure the CO2 levels in my aquarium,
Okay.
and it measures it to the accuracy of part per million.
Wow.
But the average hobbyist test kit out there or job checkers, the error ratio is huge.
Uh-huh.
So for most folks, CO2 saturation is always a guess. They're never sure. There's no great test available to the hobbyist that doesn't cost you basically what I paid, which is two to 3,000
Mm,
US dollars.
mm, mm.
And because of the lack of, I would say, effective tools at a low price, various aspects of this hobby is still very difficult.
Mm,
Like how much light does a certain tank have? You can guess a bit from what the manufacturers say,
mm.
but if you want to tune the light levels to your tank extremely accurately, you need a power meter, and that is another 500 US dollars, and it does nothing but tell you what how much light hits a certain spot. Like it's such a high price to pay for accuracy,
Right, right.
right? But once you have the accuracy on a few things, the plant tank becomes a easy easy thing to achieve.
But the balance
Yeah.
itself is achieving that balance is where the challenge lies, right? So
Yes,
you
yes. So
start
if you do
off.
not have expensive tools, how are you going to estimate? Like, how are you going to estimate nutrients? How are you going to estimate carbon dioxide accurately?
Mm,
Right. And for plants, all these things happen on a lag. You do
mm,
something today, the effect maybe happen one week later.
mm,
Right.
mm,
And
mm,
humans are not good
mm,
at, plotting this cause and effect when the effect takes place on a longer time scale.
mm, mm,
Yeah. So I'll say that for most people, the planting journey is a long one because
mm.
it takes a lot of time for them to realize that, oh, if I do this thing this week,
Yes.
I
Eh,
see it happen next week.
and you touched upon a
Yes.
very important point, and plants live in a different time scale as
Oh,
compared to
yes.
us, right?
Yes. Yes.
And we as humans are very impatient to see the results.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
I plonk the plants and I
Yeah.
expect to see the carpet in 2 weeks' time,
Yeah.
and then you know then there are
Yes.
those, like, even I have been through this journey where I will plant, let's say I'm doing a carpet, and I will plant the Monte Carlo, and I'll
Mm.
expect the Monte Carlo to grow and cover the rest. It's not going to
Yeah.
happen that way because that's
Yes.
going to take
Yes.
an eternity.
Yes.
But you're right. The
Yes.
plants are at a different time scale as compared to us, and this hobby, aquascaping, also is teaching, planted aquariums is teaching us a lot of patience in
Yes.
whatever we do.
Yes.
And that
Yes.
and then patience comes combined with understanding the science
Mm.
behind it, and then applying that, and then
Yes.
experimenting, and then learning from the mistakes. If
Yes.
you are not observant, you
Oh, yes. Yes.
continue going on
Yes.
WhatsApp groups and saying, what do I do
Yeah.
now? What do I do now?
No, it's true. So the art of observing your own aquarium and noting down results, making a record.
Hmm, hmm,
I think that a lot of people don't make good records of what they do.
hmm, hmm.
So they base it off memory that, oh, I think I did this 3 days ago or what. But unless the record is there, their memories may not be accurate,
Right,
or they have the impression that they are doing a lot, but actually it's not. Things
right.
like that. Mm.
So, in your opinion, okay, so I'm just going to, speak from a layperson's this thing. So there is the substrate, okay,
Yes.
there is the light,
Mm.
there is the filtration, there
Mm.
is the fertilization, okay. uh, am I missing out? There's CO2, okay,
CO2.
right? So you combine all of this, okay,
Mm.
and what is the actual magic mix and the sequence at which you need to go? Let's say, because most of the aquarist, or at least in India, we start off
Mm.
either with ADA Amazonia as the soil,
Yeah.
which is so highly nutrient rich,
Yes.
and
Yes.
then we pick up the best lights or most powerful lights or whatever, and
Yes.
then we end up with algae issues
ELG.
and
Yes.
all of that. So what is the
Yes.
sequence you would kind of suggest, recommend, advise to newcomers? How do they start off with?
I think that in a new system, if you do a lot more water changes at the start, I think that one thing that people do not realize what that water changes do is that it's also a chance for you to manually siphon away algae and algae spores,
Right.
and that action alone is very high impact.
Hmm. Hmm.
So when you suck away the algae spores and any algae that is there mechanically, it doesn't smother the plants and it allows the plants to recover and eventually to outcompete the algae.
Yes.
So
Yes.
for new tanks, do water changes, but also siphon away the
Right.
detritus and the bits of algae that is present.
Right.
And this manual cleaning can help the plant to settle in faster.
Right.
And yeah, and I think that for most people that are newer to this hobby, the combination to use that is very effective is actually to use less light at the start but more CO2.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So if you start the tank fresh, the chances are you are not going to have fish, right? So you're just going to start with plants first most of the time because the tank is not matured enough for you to add livestock. You can tune up the CO2 more,
Hmm.
so you
Hmm.
err on the side of being too high, and
Hmm.
you spend the weeks coming tuning it down
Hmm. Hmm.
rather than start low and then tune up
Hmm. Hmm.
for CO2.
Right.
And starting at a high CO2 point give plants a tremendous growth advantage.
Right.
And if you pair this with a bit less light,
Oh.
that is the easier way to get a tank to settle in at the start. Then once the tank has settled in, you can tune up the light to get better colors, and you can start adjusting the CO2 down
Mm, mm,
um, to the point where you say that, oh, at this level the livestock
mm,
is I can
mm,
add
mm,
livestock.
mm.
Yeah, whereas I think most people start the opposite.
Yes.
They buy the light, expensive light. They say I want to use all full power because I bought this expensive light. I need to use it, max power. And max power will be okay for the first 5 days, right? So things happen on the lag.
Yeah.
First 5 days, everything look perfect.
Yeah. Then
Then in the second week, the diatoms
the
and the
items, the
dust
brown
algae and
algae
things
and
like the
everything starts coming up. Yeah.
in a very short time, and the new hobbies get shocked.
Yeah.
So to start slow with the light and to start with the high CO2, I think that will give the easiest start, and over time you can adjust it downwards. So
Mm.
if you realize that, oh, I'm injecting a ridiculous amount of CO2,
Right.
let me tune it down so that I can eventually add fish. And then you can start tuning up your light if you realize that you can control the algae at that point.
Mm.
And I think that a lot of newer aquarists don't realize is that having a tank that has the algae under control is very important, because if your algae is out of control, no matter how good your design of your tank is, it doesn't look good.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a show killer. You know.
Yes, it's a show killer. So you must get the algae under control before you ramp up the light.
Yeah, it's the wrong
Yeah.
kind of conversation starter. When you
Yes.
have
Yes.
somebody coming and saying, "What's wrong with your tank?" You know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
So how important is it to kind of keep stirring up the substrate? Once in a while.
I think that it is it's something that has a lot of intricacy to it.
Mm, mm,
Right. And I think that is something that is always also a bit misunderstood.
mm,
And I don't blame people for misunderstanding it, because if you think about it, when we grow plants on land in nature, you view soil as this accumulation of organic debris,
mm, mm,
and we know that organic debris adds nutrients to the soil. So why are we removing it in aquarium soil? What
mm,
makes aquarium soil different from garden soil or
mm,
topsoil? Or why are we? What's the point of disturbing the substrate?
mm,
The I think the way to think about it is the aquarium soil is the aqua soil is really quite different from raw soil.
mm,
Um, Aqua soil has is formed in the pellets, and when there are a bit of gaps between the pellets, it allows the flow of water through the substrate.
mm.
And having a slow flow of water through, it creates a substrate that is more anaerobic, and some species of plants, I'll say, root more easily
Mm, mm,
than in substrates that are overly compacted, for
mm.
example. That's one. And excess organic debris, on one hand, in the long run, yes, if it decomposes, it becomes nutrients. In the short run, they are great triggers for algae. So to remove the ones that are just on the surface without disturbing the ecology of the deeper soil layers,
Right,
I think that is the way to go around it.
right,
So if to cipher away the debris is useful, but you should do it only on the top layer.
right.
So doing it too deep, I think it
Will
disturbs
disturb
the
you.
deep ecology.
Right.
The natural stratification of aqua soil is there, where microbes they are more anaerobic occupy the deeper layers, and the more aerobic microbes are on the top layers. And you want to keep the strata as it is, but you also want to remove the debris on the top layer.
Right, right,
Yeah. So how do you do that delicately in the tank? It also affects your tank outcomes, right?
right,
So people that siphon too deeply disturb their soil layer too much.
right,
Certain species don't root well.
right.
And if you have a soil that is just choked with organic debris, certain species will start to get, they don't root properly as well. And this will affect the top growth.
Yeah.
So cleaning up the aqua soil that has been collecting organic debris makes a huge impact on tanks that have been left unserviced for a long time.
Right, right.
So if you have not siphoned your aqua soil for like 6 months, you do a deep siphoning for the top like 2 inches, and you add maybe 1 cm of new soil, your
Yeah.
tank will grow like new.
Wow.
Like the impact of this is tremendous for those people who have not tried this. Yeah, and that is how we refresh our two Aquarist tanks at the gallery as well.
Right.
I have tanks that have 1 or 2 year old aqua soy, but when you look at the picture I show you, people thought that it is a 6 month old tank or 3 month old tank because it looks like a newly planted tank.
Right.
But it's the maintenance that affect the outcomes. It's not that the soil is always brand new.
Right.
Yeah.
So back to that 2 hours weekly is what the whole schedule will look like. So
Yes,
you
and you
spend,
don't
yeah,
yes, and you don't have to do the whole tank at once,
yeah,
right? 2 hours a week, you can spend 1 hour doing
one section.
one section, and you can do it in different sections across many weeks.
Right.
And it's actually better to do this rotation because your tank ecology is not shaken as much,
Right.
right? It's not so much on I call it the boom and bust. A lot of aquarists are boom and bust aquarists where they are lazy for the whole month. The water tank get overcrowded, the bottom stems get shaded, a lot of debris accumulate. Then it reaches a point where algae starts to come, then they panic, then they want a fast solution,
Yeah.
then they do a soft reset, then they allow this big cycle to play out again. I think if you're a once a month aquarist, then you can do that. Then you spend 1 full day per month
Right.
doing the reset.
Right.
Or you can spend 2 hours a week and have a nice tank consistently.
Yeah, but
Right.
I
So
think
that's the trade-off.
doing it consistently weekly would also avoid a sudden shock to the
Yeah,
livestock.
yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so
Yes.
that's great. Tell us about your products